This video is brought to you by a huge mountain of drugs. Emperor Mihail II versus Breya. Decent hand for us with no merfolk, but we do have a windfall to refill our hand. We are on the draw, so let our opponent start the game off. They do get into fast mana on turn 1. A Mishra's Workshop will allow them to get an artifact down, so there we see a Talisman of Progress. And that is a Deep-Root Waters for us, so I think it is Sol Ring, and we're okay going straight in for the Sword of the Animist here, because we need to really play fast against a Breya player with so much mana. So playing out the Sword of the Animist, we'll be able to equip that to a creature eventually and start swinging in, getting rampant growths. Now we see a Strip Mine as well. The saving grace is that they've got a lot of colourless mana. Not a lot of coloured mana, a Trading Post from our opponent. And they decide to make a Goat token. Alright, Kindred Discovery, so do we go for Deep-Root Waters first? We can start swinging in with the Emperor Mihail next turn if we play it here, so yeah, I think that's what we do. And we do have a Merfolk Sovereign on the top, so could play that if we had the mana, but obviously we don't. They have a black mana now, so black, white and blue available to them. Still need a couple of coloured pips in order to get into Breya, playing out a Rhystic Study. And they can't activate their Trading Post now, thanks to playing that. Seeing a non-Merfolk creature. I think this is the only non-Merfolk creature in the deck, Defiler of Dreams. So we'll drop a land, go Polluted Delta. I think I'll shuffle away this Sphinx this time. Alright, and we'll shuffle that land away as well with the Sword of the Animist. So put Sword of the Animist onto our Mihail commander, and that's going to be 4 commander damage, assuming that they don't block with the Goat token. Now seeing a Fact or Fiction on top of our library. Maybe should have gone for the Merfolk Sovereign, actually. I'm going to go for the Merfolk Sovereign no matter what. Alright, turns out it doesn't matter because they block with a Goat token anyway. We're just trying to keep the Sovereign a secret here. So play out the Lord. Can't pay into either Rhystic Study or the Emperor Mihail for a free Merfolk. Say no to the Rhystic Study. They do get a card draw, unfortunately. But just trying to get Summoning Sickness away from this thing so that we can consistently attack him with our commander. Alright, just missing a red mana at this point. They could hold up counter magic on us, unfortunately. But it would be good to be able to counter their Breya and send them back a turn. So Emry, Lurker of the Loch, is another Merfolk. And they mill a Sculpting Steel, Mystic Monastery, Mountain, and a Great Furnace. So hitting 2 artifacts off that. And then making a Goat token, so we're going to be reliant on the unblockable effect on this, because we do want to start landing commander damage and threatening our opponent. Alright, an island on top. So we could let them have the Breya now that we've got unblockable, and then we could always counter something else with Mystic Confluence maybe. I'm just wondering if going for Kindred Discovery is the thing to do here. Yeah, I think we can do that, and then pay into the Rhystic Study. Obviously name Merfolk with that, so now whenever we cast or attack in with a Merfolk, we will draw a card. Could swing in with both of these to draw 2 cards, but I think I just want to guarantee landing damage, so swing in for 5 commander damage unblocked, thanks to the Sovereign, and we'll draw into that land and play it this turn. So that means Sword of the Animist goes on the stack first, we'll draw into the land, that means we've made 2 lands this turn. Seen the back of a Master of the Pearl Trident, unfortunately. Okay, putting another land on top. They don't actually control an island yet, so Island Walk isn't necessarily going to be too useful. They do have a Vamp Tutor, so even though they were struggling with the colours, I don't know if they're going to be now. They're still getting into decent cards. Okay, the land played this time is Blighted Steppe. And Spine of Ishtar is going to be a problem, especially with Trading Posts. They're going to be able to replay that over and over again. So holding up counter magic with Mystic Confluence is probably a good idea for the Spine. So directly blowing up our commander. And then making another Goat token, swinging in with their Merfolk. So draw into the island, drop the island straight away. Then we'll go for Sword of the Animist onto our Merfolk. We're going to continue ramping at least. Swing in, we will... yeah, we don't know what's on top, do we? So it doesn't matter which we put on the stack first. Alright, draw into Mistcaller. Throwing a Goat token in the way to try and keep their life total up. And now, unfortunately, if we had an extra mana here, we could go for the Deep-Root Waters and set up with that, start making a bunch of Merfolk, but I just want to hold up both Fact or Fiction and the Mystic Confluence here, because I think we might have to counter a Spine of Isar. Trading Post is going to get them into some red mana off the Great Furnace that is in the bin. So we should assume that they're going for their commander here. Tapping down the Emery, that is a Sculpting Steel. So it probably goes on Spine of Isar. So unfortunately going to have to counter that. Which means we have to counter twice, and yeah, we'll have to add Summoning Sickness to the Emery. Although they just recast the Emery, don't they? Yeah, let's draw a card. So countering the Sculpting Steel twice, we will pay for the Rhystic Study. And they tap down some mana there, including both of their blue sources, so might have counter magic available to them. Wouldn't waste counter magic on that. All we've done really is bought ourselves a turn. They can just replay the Sculpting Steel again next turn. So yeah, deciding on Breya instead. Of course they've got Skull Clamp, got absolutely everything they need here. Might have been something that they tutored for previously. We drew into Mana Crypt when we countered the spell previously. A Seafloor Oracle, not seeing any of the small merfolk really, unfortunately. So I'm just going to have to keep paying into the Rhystic Study annoyingly. Don't see what we're going to do against our opponent really. I don't think mono blue merfolk in a 100 card singleton format is particularly good. Play Deeproot Waters for 4 mana. Play Seafloor Oracle. That makes us a merfolk thanks to the enchantment. We also draw a card with Kindred Discovery, which gets us into a land for the turn. 2 lands for the turn. We'll drop the island there, and then we'll play Mistcaller. Make another merfolk. Alright, Force of Will is not terrible. And there we see a Seagate Restoration as well, so I think getting rid of the Windfall with Force of Will is a good idea then, because I'm hoping that our opponent is going to be struggling on card draw. So yeah, pass at that. Getting some decent use out of Kindred Discovery here. Unfortunately, can see a Lightning Bolt from the Breya here. A couple of Lightning Bolts. So once again, going after that Sculpting Steel. And we'll just straight up hard counter it here, so go for the Force of Will on there, get rid of the Windfall to do it. And we do have a mana for that Rhystic Study still. Seeing a Goblin Welder that does not have haste, thankfully. Yeah, went for a couple of Lightning Bolts there, I think. It's Lightning Bolt onto a player. It's -4/-4 on a creature, so deciding to get rid of the Seafloor Oracle as opposed to the Merfolk Sovereign. So yeah, see if we get bolted here. They have made another goat token as well. Alright, so another island. Do we just go Fact or Fiction here? So go for the Fact or Fiction during the main phase. We will pay into the study again. See how our opponent wants to divide this up. Of course, now we get into all the merfolk. Alright, so Tharda they're probably worried about. We could force them to blow up a Tharda. Counterspell doesn't necessarily help us now because they've got the Goblin Welder. So I'm going to force them to blow up the Tharda because I bet they're worried about that. So play out the Tharda Adel. Pay into the Rhystic Study. That does draw us a card. We've got the Metallic Mimic, which doesn't count as a merfolk until it hits play, unfortunately. But yeah, we can still go Metallic Mimic here. Does still enter as a merfolk though, so we did draw into another land. Play out the Rishadan Dockhand. Alright, just getting completely flooded here. Hopefully we can land the Seagate Restoration next turn. Sensei's Divining Top will be able to fix some draws for us maybe. So let's make the Mistcaller unblockable and we'll just land 2 damage on our opponent. Actually can attack him with all 3. We'll lose a Merfolk token to the Breya, but yeah, we do draw additional cards doing this. Okay, Lord of Atlantis. Our opponent does not control an island, surprisingly. Thieving Skydiver could steal away the Spine of Isar. Might still do something this game. So they get rid of a Hexproof token. Now Sculpting Steel being recast once again by the Emery. So do they go after Tharda with Spine of Isar, or do they go after the Kindred Discovery? They go after our Kindred Discovery. We've already drawn a bunch of cards, so not necessarily as worried about that now. Did a lot of work for us for only 5 mana. Sacrificing 2 artifacts in both Spine of Isars to the Breya, and going to blow up the Tharda Adel. The Sculpting Steel and the Spine of Isar end up in their hand thanks to the Sculpting Steel being a Spine of Isar when it went into the bin. So Tharda Adel goes down. Sculpting Steel in as a copy of something. Okay, comes in as a copy of Breya, so just trying to make some more Thopters. And they'll blow up the Sculpting Steel, so keeping the original Breya. Then sacrificing a Thopter token to Goblin Welder brings the Sculpting Steel back out again, becoming a copy of the Breya again, making more Thopter tokens, so they just make an additional Thopter there basically. Skull Clamp goes on a Thopter, drawing them 2 cards. So I wonder if this is the thing that we steal from them with the Thieving Skydiver. Talisman of Dominance into play. Yeah, I dare say that they will play out the Spine of Isar and copy it straight away with Sculpting Steel. Plus they can sacrifice it when we try to steal it on our turn, so yeah, they can also do that with the Skull Clamp, can't they? But we're making it more difficult for them at the very least. There's only so many cards that they can pull out of the bin in a turn. Still not seeing any islands from our opponent. Alright, and a gate is pretty good against that Spine of Isar. So I think I'm going to go for the Seagate Restoration here. Oh my god, I played the damn land by accident. Ugh, that's so annoying. You can't undo it either. Okay, so I'll get my commander out again here. And we'll see if we can get stuff off the top. That's really annoying that I didn't draw a whole heap of cards there. Pay into the Rhystic Study, keep making merfolks. They're coming out as 3/3s thanks to the Anthem effect and the plus counter from the Metallic Mimic. And it is a land on top again. Carefully casting the Thieving Skydiver. I did click to do it with Kicker. So X is currently 1. We will say yes. Emperor Mihail going to trigger. We'll pay 1 into the Rhystic Study. And then I'm going to pay 1 into the Emperor Mihail as well. Try and take the Skull Clamp. Suppose we could have put more mana and tried to steal the Breya from them. But I'd rather just try and take the Skull Clamp away from them. They are going to sacrifice it, which is fine. So they draw a card there. So then it's Triton Shorestalker for us. I'm not going to bother with Triton Shorestalker. Let's go Sensei's Divining Top here. We can spin that on our opponent's turn. Or we can do it during the upkeep actually. Yeah, anyway, we'll pay into the Rhystic Study. We're not going to be able to pay Rhystic Study when we play the Negate, unfortunately. Anyhow. So swinging in with a couple of 2/2s, a 3/3 with Hexproof, and I will make the Metallic Mimic a 3/3 unblockable. Need to be looking at re-equipping the Sword of the Animist sometime soon as well. I think it was right going after the Sensei's Divining Top, but it would be nice to have the mana for the Richard and Dockhand as well to tap down the Mishra's Workshop, because they're doing a lot of work with that. Right, so the 3/3 Hexproof being blocked as you would expect. Knocking them down to 14. They're going to have to start gaining life with Breya here sometime soon if they're not careful. So they're up to 4 cards in hand. Mox Tantalite enters the Exile Zone, so they'll get a free Soul Ring in a few turns. Bringing the Sculpting Steel out once again, so not making double Spine of Isars. They do get rid of a red mana in order to do that, making another copy of the Breya. Then recasting with Emry, recasting the Sculpting Steel once again, and using the Mishra's Workshop in order to do that. So we could have taken them down 3 mana here, so they'd only be on 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 mana if we'd been able to tap down the Mishra's Workshop with the Richard and Dockhand. Once again comes down as a copy of the Breya, just really trying to make Thopters. So they can -4/-4 on 3 creatures now. If they get rid of all their Thopters, they can obviously do more than that. Mechanized Production onto the Breya. That only makes a copy of Breya during the upkeep. How many tokens do they need of this? If you have 8 or more artifacts with the same name, you win the game. So, yeah, I mean, argument to be made for going for a Thopter there. Argument to be made for putting that on a Thopter, because, yeah, they're close to having 8 or more Thopters. Anyway, not seeing the Spine of Isar again, surprisingly. If we can turn one of their lands into an island, which we do have means of doing in this deck, then we're going to be sending a lot of damage through to them. Alright, so can't tap down their blue mana from the Talisman. We can tap down their black mana though. So we'll do that here, and I'm going to spin the Sensei's Top as well. Deciding to float the black mana in response, as you would expect. Making a goat token with Trading Post, so we encourage them to tap that down as well. And then let's spin the Sensei's Top and try and fix our draws here. Master of Waves, and some islands on top, so no prizes for guessing which one we want to draw into. Right, so this is what our shuffle effects are for. We'll go Scalding Tarn and get rid of those 2 islands that are on top of our library. Alright, and just an Arcane Signet, annoyingly. So we spin with the Sensei's top again. Stony Banneret, a Saprazan Heir. So let's just go for the Stony Banneret on top. And then we can go Stony Brook Banneret off the top of our library thanks to the Emperor Mihail. Say yes to Rhystic Study. Say yes to Emperor Mihail as well. And then just 1 mana for the Saprazan Heir, so might as well play that off the top as well. Get some more triggers from all this blue stuff. Pay into the Emperor Mihail as well. And then I want to spin the top again and see if we can get into anything else. Nope, nothing. Ugh. So in that case, it is Arcane Signet, Island, and we'll put the Stoneforge Masterwork on top of our library. So really try and go wide on our opponent during the next turn or two. Let's go Master of Waves, that is 3 mana, but we'll pay into the Rhystic Study. Not going to pay into Emperor Mihail, because I want to pay into Rhystic Study when we go for the negate. So Master of Waves into play. This is going to make 1/0 elemental token per blue pip that we have in our casting costs, which is quite a lot at the moment. Missing haste, unfortunately. Wonder if we should have a Chroma's Memorial in this deck. So we end up with 11 elementals, and those are all 2/1s. Right, got a bunch of flying blockers in the way now, unfortunately, so just going to swing in with the 4/3 Thieving Skydiver. They can activate Breya in response, but we'll make them give up some artifacts to do that. I'd rather they blow up that than the Emperor. So yeah, we'll make them save some life here. Make that unblockable with the Sovereign, which I'm surprised they haven't blown up yet. So yep, they go for the -4/-4 on there. That will destroy it. But at least they're not activating to gain life. Mechanized Production going to give them another copy of the Breya here, which will effectively just be a couple of Thopter tokens. So once again, Goblin Welder. This is during the upkeep, going after the Sculpting Steel as a copy of Breya once again. Okay, and they've won the game here. Am I missing something? At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of the enchanted artifact. If you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another. Ah, I thought it was the same name as the enchanted creature. Oh well, I don't think there's anything that we could have done about our opponent there anyway. I really don't think that we could have... I really didn't think that we were going to win against a Breya deck. I mean, this is one of the most powerful decks in 1v1. And this is, I mean, a fun Merfolk deck, but we're not going to do anything against more powerful matchups, I don't think. And yeah, pretty much wanted a Cyclonic Rift or something like that there so that we could actually get all this stuff through. Maybe could have knocked them down to 0 there, but yeah, not understanding the Mechanized Production. Had I understood it, maybe could have gone for the negate there. So apologies for the misplay there, but I'm really not sure we could have ended up winning that one anyway. Our opponents had too much going against us, who knows. Leave your disdainful comments in the comment section below. I'm Tribalkai. Thank you for watching.